The silent beginning. The gym was nearly empty, save for the squeak of worn sneakers and the rhythmic bounce of a ball. A boy, no older than 10, practiced alone under flickering lights. His name was Jayson. To most, he was just another kid from St. Louis. But to his mother, Brandy, he was everything. Brandy Cole wasn't supposed to raise a child at 19. She was supposed to be chasing her own dreams: law school, stability, a normal life. Instead, she juggled lectures, part-time jobs, and midnight feedings. Their apartment was small, with creaky floors and second-hand furniture, but it pulsed with fierce love. She never complained. Not once. Jayson noticed. He noticed the way she skipped meals when groceries ran low. How she typed papers by candlelight during power outages. How she clapped the loudest at every school game, even when she came straight from a 12-hour shift. Her grind was quiet, constant, and deeply uncelebrated. And in her silence, Jayson found his purpose. He wasn't loud either. He didn't talk much in school or brag about his skills. But on the court, something awakened. He dribbled not to show off, but to escape. Each shot was a whispered promise. One day, I'll take care of you. The neighborhood wasn't gentle. Violence lingered like smoke. Friends disappeared. Dreams shrank under the weight of poverty. But Brandy shielded him the best she could, her discipline firm, her love unconditional. She demanded excellence. Not for pride, but for survival. In the classroom, Jayson thrived. On the court, he soared. Coaches began to take notice. But even then, he remained grounded. The spotlight never seduced him. His eyes weren't on fame, they were on her. On repaying the sacrifices. On becoming someone worthy of the pain she carried without ever letting it show. One night, as rain tapped the windows and thunder rolled in the distance, Jayson sat at the kitchen table with a worn notebook. Brandy had fallen asleep on the couch, still in her work uniform. He looked at her, peaceful, exhausted, beautiful in her strength. Then he picked up his pen and wrote 5 words. I want to be great. He didn't know what that meant yet. He didn't know about Duke or the NBA. He only knew the sound of her tired sighs and the fire burning inside him. It was enough. That night, the rain didn't stop. But in that small apartment, beneath that leaking roof, something powerful had taken root. Not a dream. A decision. Fire forged in silence. By the time Jayson entered high school, the whispers had grown louder. Coaches called him a prodigy. Local media began circling like moths. At Chaminade College Prep, expectations wrapped around his shoulders like a weighted vest. But he never asked for applause. He just worked, silently, obsessively. He had grown taller, leaner, but still carried that same stillness in his eyes. A stillness that unsettled defenders and fascinated scouts. He wasn't flashy. He didn't talk trash. But his game spoke volumes. Fadeaways off 1 foot, Euro steps through traffic, and a mid-range shot that snapped like lightning. He made the game look effortless, but inside, the war never stopped. He was still that boy from the quiet apartment. Still writing in notebooks. Still chasing that same silent promise. But now the world had a say. Pressure crept in, disguised as praise. Future NBA All-Star, they wrote. The next Paul Pierce. Maybe even better. He nodded politely, then stayed late after practice. Because compliments didn't erase the memory of his mom collapsing into sleep on the couch. Or the friends who had fallen through the cracks of the same streets he'd survived. Then came Duke. Coach Mike Krzyzewski called. The decision was clear. It wasn't just about basketball, it was legacy, exposure, growth. But when Jayson arrived on campus, something unexpected followed him: doubt. He wasn't the strongest. Wasn't the loudest. He got injured before the season even began. Critics pounced. Soft. Not aggressive enough. Overrated. The spotlight that once felt warm now burned. He tried to smile through it. Gave the right answers in interviews. But behind closed doors, he wrestled with questions that shook his foundation. Do I belong here? Can I really do this? Coach K saw it. You're not here by accident, he told him one night after a quiet practice. Stop trying to fit the mold. You are the mold. Those words didn't erase the fear. But they lit a fuse. Jayson began to shift. He attacked more. Trusted his instincts. Became less apologetic about who he was. A silent assassin with poetry in his footwork and violence in his precision. He wasn't built to bark. He was built to bleed quietly, to kill with grace. Duke only got 1 year of him. But that year was enough. Enough to remind him of who he was. Enough to show the NBA that the fire inside him hadn't dimmed. It had been waiting. Draft night came in a blur. Boston Celtics. 3rd pick. Green jersey. Smiles on stage. But beneath that calm expression, the old doubt still lingered. The mask of stardom. Boston didn't feel like home, not at first. The city was colder, louder, less forgiving. But Jayson arrived with a quiet resolve. He didn't need welcome signs. He brought his mission with him. The NBA was different. Bigger bodies. Sharper elbows. Faster decisions. But none of it shook him. In his rookie season, he played like he belonged, because he had trained for this moment in silence for years. When the lights hit, he didn't blink. Then came the 2018 playoffs. Boston's stars were injured. The weight fell on the rookie's shoulders. Game after game, he delivered. Fading jumpers, fearless drives, clutch plays. And in a single, now iconic moment, he rose above LeBron James and dunked with defiance. The arena erupted. He didn't celebrate. He just turned and ran back on defense. He had arrived. But stardom came with shadows. Every headline praised him. Every camera found him. Every missed shot became a headline. He was 20 years old, and the world had already decided what he should be. That's when the criticism started. Can he lead? Does he want it enough? Too laid back. Not a killer. He didn't respond publicly. Never lashed out. But he felt every word. They echoed late at night in hotel rooms, long after the cameras shut off. While his teammates laughed, he rewatched games in silence, rewinding his mistakes, analyzing every missed rotation, every poor decision. Off the court, a different kind of challenge awaited: fatherhood. His son, Deuce, became his anchor. A small boy with bright eyes who didn't care about points or playoffs. He only cared that his father was there. Jayson brought him everywhere. Press conferences, warm-ups, flights. Not for the cameras. For connection. For grounding. But balancing it all, father, franchise cornerstone, national figure, was exhausting. He rarely showed it. But the weight of unmet expectations pressed heavier with each passing season. The Celtics came close: Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7s, deep playoff runs. Always close. Never enough. Fans grew restless. Analysts sharpened their knives. Tatum disappears in big moments. He's not wired like Kobe. The comparisons cut deep. Jayson never asked to be Kobe. He just wanted to be Jayson. But no one seemed to understand what that meant, not yet. He continued to show up. Put his head down. Added muscle. Worked on his handle. Spent lonely hours in the gym after losses, shooting until his arms ached. No excuses. No noise. Because somewhere in that silence, he still heard her voice, his mother's. Still remembered that small, flickering apartment. That notebook. That promise. The pressure was suffocating. The doubts never left. But he kept showing up. Because he wasn't done. The story still unwritten. The 2022 NBA Finals were supposed to be his moment. Jayson had carried Boston through grueling series, answered every doubt with poise, and finally stood on the sport's biggest stage. But on that platform, under the brightest lights, the shots stopped falling. The critics returned, louder, sharper. He shrinks when it matters. Not a number one option. He's not built for this. He heard it all. Fin. The echoes of doubt had never truly vanished. They had only quieted. Now they roared back with venom. After the loss, he didn't cry. He walked off the court with Deuce beside him, his hand resting gently on his son's shoulder. The cameras zoomed in, hoping for a crack, a moment of collapse. They didn't get one. But behind closed doors he unraveled. Not in anger, but in reflection. For weeks, he trained in silence. No social media, no interviews. Just sweat. Just resolve. He returned to that same place he always had, the gym, the grind, the quiet. He began writing again. This time, it wasn't about being great. It was about becoming whole. In the following season, a transformation emerged. He played with more control, more maturity. Not just chasing buckets, but leading, really leading. He challenged teammates, held himself accountable, took blame after losses, lifted others after wins. The critics still hovered, but they no longer defined him.